Hello everyone and welcome to the Portrait of a Fangirl panel. My name is Christina Silvoso and I'll be your moderator today. I am a cosplayer and definitely a fangirl. So Portrait of a Fangirl is a passion project created by the staff at Temple of Geek. They wanted to tell the stories of women who found inspiration, growth, and power through fandom. It began as a photo project and eventually became a web series of short 5 to 10 minute episodes. They hope to one day turn into a full documentary about fangirl culture. We've already produced 7 episodes, one of which we'll be sharing with you today. Portrait of a Fangirl sets out to challenge the stereotype of what a fangirl is. By featuring several inspiring women, some of who are with us today, and telling the story of how their diverse and fascinating fandoms have participated in enriching their lives both professionally and personally. We'll be also sharing a trailer for our next set of episodes that will be coming in 2023. And I'd like to introduce our panelists. First, our featured fangirl in our 6th episode, Alice Fanchiang, is a blogger and geek fashion influencer. Next, we have our producer, social media manager, and one of our featured fangirls, Tiffany Cagle. Next up is Monica Duarte. She's the creator, editor, camera woman, the glue that holds it all together, and the editor of Portrait of a Fangirl. And last up, we have Madison, Morrow, an executive producer on the series. So first off, can everybody tell us a bit about themselves? Let's start with Alice. Yes.
Hi, I'm Alice. Like my lovely host said, I'm a blogger, sort of. I don't really blog anymore, but I'm very active on Instagram still. And I guess you could say I'm a geek fashion influencer. I don't know, but I do enjoy geek fashion. I've been a fangirl for a really long time. I've never really been embarrassed about being very enthusiastic about weird nerd stuff. And currently, I obviously still love Star Wars, and I'm deep into the BTS K-pop hole right now, so that's my current obsession.
All right, Tiffany.
I'm a baker, and I love a lot of old things, vintage things, movies, books, and such. And I also have a strong love for Doctor Who, Harry Potter, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, and currently geeking out to Wednesday Addams, which is super good.
My name is Monica. I am the editor-in-chief at Temple of Geek, and Portrait of Fangirl is a bit of a passion project. Like Christina said, we hope to one day turn it into a documentary about fangirls and fangirl culture, and I'm just really excited that LACC was kind enough to have us here.
Hi, I'm Madison. Most of you know me as Maddie or Maddie Hoovian. I am the Chief Creative Officer for Temple of Geek. My first fandom when I first started out, fangirling, was Doctor Who. And now I am heavily into anime, with Skate the Infinity being my biggest obsession right now. And I love being part of Portrait of Fangirls. I just really enjoy hearing everyone's stories and the way that they kind of fell into geekdom.
Oh, great. That leads right into my next question. What inspired you to become part of the Portrait of a Fangirl series, Alice?
Well, I have to give all props to Monica, because I kind of like I said, I don't really think of myself as like an influencer or anything. I kind of just post whatever I want to post or talk about whatever I want to talk about. But Monica was really nice and reached out to me a long time ago before Portrait of the Fangirl happened, just to take photos for me because she liked my fashion.
Alice is one of the best dressed people in geek culture, in my opinion. And the way she can put an outfit together. Let me just tell you this story. One time I walked up to her driveway and she had this amazing outfit on and she was just sitting and I was like, you just look like this all the time? I was like, oh my God. So I just really wanted to take pictures of her.
Yeah, so that's how we became friends, actually. So when Monica started doing Portrait of Fangirl, she asked me if I wanted to be part of it, and I said, of course. But also just because I always think, it kind of sucks that when it comes to being a girl who's into things, it's always kind of looked down upon, you know? It's like, somehow our fandoms are like not more valid, so because this project kind of explores the different aspects of that, I wanted to be part of it and to just, I don't know, add my 2 cents, I guess.
How about you, Maddie? Oh, I'm sorry, Tiffany. I'm changing it up.
I actually met Monica at Gallifrey 1 back, I believe, in 2017, 2018. And she was somebody I had found on Instagram and stuff, and we just started chatting, and we both loved Doctor Who and stuff. And she took some pictures of me at Gallifrey, and I don't like pictures of myself. I just don't. But she captured something in me that I really enjoyed. She just captured that spirit of the fangirl in me, and then she approached me in 2019 to do the project, and I've been with it ever since, and I love it.
That's great. I am going to skip you, Monica, because you are the creator. So, Maddie, what inspired you to become a part of it?
Monica dragged me into it and said, "You are part of." No, I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, like, I love being on whatever project Monica's doing. She and I have done a lot with Temple of Geek together, and so when she was like, "Hey, I could use your help with producing some of the videos and being there to help kind of walk the fangirls through what we're doing," it was a really easy yes for me, because again, like I said, I really love hearing the stories about how these women have come into their own with their fandoms and what it looks like for them.
No, that's great. So now, Monica, how did you come up with this idea? What brought it from a photography project into the main screen?
So really it was Tiffany. A long time ago, I wanted to take pictures of people and their fandoms and kind of portraits of people where you could see their personality. And I kept looking for inspiration on Pinterest and things like that, and I couldn't find anything. And I was like, I really want to take more portraits of people, but geeky pictures. And the only thing I could find were engagement pictures, baby pictures. You'd find some engagement photos where it's oh, I found my player 1 or player 2 or things like that. And you'd have all these cute baby photography that was really geeky, but I couldn't find anything that wasn't a sexy girl covered in comics, which is totally valid and fine, and those pictures are fine. But I wanted something else. Not everything is a sexy comic book nerd, right? And so I couldn't find anything. And so I was like, well, maybe I'll make my own. And I started approaching people like Alice to take photos of her fashion because I thought it was really interesting. And then I met Tiffany and I was like, hey, I want to take some photos of you, to show off your geeky personality. And she started telling me about her tattoos, and she has Doctor Who and Harry Potter and all kinds of tattoos on her back and on her feet and everywhere. And as she was talking, I was like, oh my God, the pictures I take will never do justice to who Tiffany is as a person. I was like, I actually want to write about her. And I was like, well, maybe I'll do an article or something like that. And at that time I was having dinner with a friend of mine, Emily Shuck, and she and I just started brainstorming back and forth together about what this could be, what we could do. And she said, why don't you just make it a web series? And then we started talking about it. And the more we bounced ideas back and forth, we were like, yes, we have to make this a web series and feature these women who I found so inspiring. And so then, that's how it was kind of made. Emily taught herself to edit videos and did our first season. We didn't know what we were doing. We didn't go into this. It was just all of a sudden we had a need and a desire to tell stories of women we found really inspiring. And so we started with Alice, we started with Tiffany, and we've done 7 episodes so far. But we've recorded 9. So there's more coming, and yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so as Alice mentioned, sometimes the idea and name of fangirl can be a little problematic. Would anyone like to kind of speak to that? What does being a fangirl mean to you? Do you feel like that is changing at all? What's your definition of a fangirl?
So, one of the things that Alice said in her episode was that, there's a tendency to dismiss things that women love. And there's a tendency to just kind of chalk it up to their emotions and not take women seriously. It's almost seen as childish when women are super enthusiastic about their fandom. But I have seen this passion from women become careers. I have seen it become Artist Alley is filled with women who have turned their enthusiasm for fandom into a career. There's writers, there's fanfic writers who have gone into the movie industry. There's so much potential in your enthusiasm and so much potential in your excitement. And I think that's a little bit what this project is about, is trying to break the stigma of talking down to the things that women love and then shaming their enthusiasm as cringy. I don't think it's cringy. I think it's beautiful.
Yes. Anyone else? Good? Okay.
I think
No, she
she summed it up. Nailed it.
So I know we're still in the pandemic, but during the kind of lockdown part of it, were there any fandoms that kind of saved your sanity at that time? Alice?
Okay, I mean, I can talk about this.
I was gonna say, I'm buckling up because I can go on and on too.
Yes. At the start of the pandemic, it was big Star Wars time for me. Partly because I had just connected with a group of women who were women and non-binary people who were very into Star Wars, and we had just had a meetup at Disneyland. Our group we have an Instagram called Galactic Coven, which we're not really active in anymore, but at the time we had just met up at Disneyland right before everything shut down. So when everything shut down, that was kind of the most active thing for me, and I think for a lot of those friends. And we did a lot of Star Wars stuff. We posted a lot of Star Wars content, and it was nice because we were all at different stages in people who had been in love with Star Wars for a long time, or people who had just gotten into Star Wars. So it was really fun, talking to them, and then also to other people about the content that was coming out, that had come out, teaching, introducing different series and things to the newer people, or rediscovering older media, either together or in new ways. So that helped a lot. And then the second half of my pandemic story is that's literally how I got obsessed with BTS. I was going through super stressful time. I don't know if you guys remember the really bad 2021, was it? Or 2020? 2020 fires in Southern California.
Oh.
I live right by one of the big ones, and so I was super stressed about that. We had just done a sort of pseudo virtual convention for Star Wars online, so I was doing that. And I was maybe I have to evacuate my house. So I was doing that. And then one of my friends was she had started getting into BTS, and she was hey, they just released a new music video. So I started watching that with my sister, and then from there we kind of just got really, really into it, because they were such a fun and wholesome distraction. They were so funny, and the music's so good that it really just got me through that. I don't know, I think I would have gone crazy if I hadn't found them at that time, so.
How about you, Tiffany?
I actually met, they're my tribe, and they're my Harry Potter tribe, and so I actually went and visited them in England in 2019, right before the pandemic happened. And we're still all really good friends, and we talk every day, but they really got me through the pandemic and stuff, and we just shared our love with Harry Potter. We shared our love about other fandoms we were doing. I agree with Alice. I really love Star Wars all the way through, and they just that's kind of the thing. When it just was you're kind of trapped at home on a lockdown and stuff, and your friends are halfway across the world, you still have the technology to sit there and just chat, or like, you know, group watch like Harry Potter movies, or like read the books together, or like, you know, just like send different reels. And it really just, it kept me sane, definitely kept me sane.
How about you, Mark?
So in the beginning with 2020, when you know, things started going into lockdown and we started losing conventions, for those of you who do know me, I'm a very extroverted social person, and so not having a sense of like that community was really hard for me. So then I joined TikTok like everyone else, and found solace in the Doctor Who fandom at first, and then I was thrown into the anime side of TikTok. I don't remember how I got there exactly, but I was like, I need to watch this because these cosplayers look like they're having a lot of fun. And then I started watching My Hero Academia, and now I like only have consumed anime content like TV shows and movies like for the last year and a half. And it's kind of my whole personality, but that's okay. But yeah, it started with Doctor Who, and then it launched into anime, and you know, it's been wild, but it's been really fantastic.
And I just want to speak to like Maddie, and if you would have seen her at the beginning, because we're very good friends, you know, we've been friends for years, but I think we really grew a lot closer during the lockdown portion of the pandemic. And Maddie, who Maddie was then, and dealing with like the sudden loss of her community from not being able to go to conventions and things like that, it really took a toll on her. And seeing her personal growth from then to today, like, I'm just so proud of her. I think it's so amazing. But really it is, like, you should see the way that like her whole world kind of came down during this time, and how she like went through all the feelings, all the emotions, deconstructed her beliefs, reconstructed them, and just like became this incredible person that she is today. And fandom played such a big part of that, whether it was the fandom community, whether it was like the, you know, just the fandom, the anime she was consuming, the stories that were being told. And Kelsey Gerbeau, who was on, you know, she works with us sometimes, she said something that's really great, is that like Portrait of a Fangirl tries to put the fans first, because they are just as important as the stories being told, as the things that are like being produced, because we're the ones that are like consuming it, buying it, loving it, hyping it up. And I see that in Maddie a lot. I see her like take her love for fandom and turn it into friendship, turn it into like experiences. Here, you know, she's moderating panels this weekend for like anime. She's, you know, she's organizing cosplay meetups, photo shoots, things like that. She's taken this passion, this fandom that she loves, and she's turned it into friendship and community. And I think that's really special. And I think that that's the power of fangirls and fandom, and just being unapologetically who you are.
And I really feel like that's what Portrait of a Fangirl really does well, as, you know, to tell that to the audience. Like, look at what we're doing. It's not just, oh, I like this show.
Right.
And no, it's, we're liking it together. We're making things together because of the same fandom.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So that being said, we'd like to play a trailer for you guys for upcoming episodes. Actually, I think these are the ones that have already been released, correct?
Some of them have been released. We have a couple that haven't.
Okay,
been
We're watching the
released.
trailer?
Yeah.
A fangirl to me means that you can be yourself. You can be comfortable being yourself and expressing yourself through things that make you happy, like your fandoms.
Being a fangirl is just about loving something or loving things with just like a lot of passion, and then infusing that joy into it, and then also bringing that joy kind of into your own life as well. So making it, like, I think you can be a fan of something, but it's a fangirl about something. It's like taking it to another level, and it takes it to, I think, a more personal level.
I would say my definition of a fangirl is someone who is just really excited about the fandoms that they really love, the different media that they consume, comic books, video games, anime, TV shows, books, the like.
Don't get discouraged. Don't feel like what you love is weird or strange and that you can't. And don't be afraid to show how much you care about them. Because you get people who are like, oh, why do you love this so much? It's stupid. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's what you love. Don't be afraid to love what you love, and don't be afraid to show that you love it.
I think that's just an amazing thing is to be a fangirl because you don't have to be afraid of being who you are. And I think that's really special.
All right, so now that we've seen the trailer, we'd also like to play for you, I'm not talking into the mic, bad moderator. We'd like to introduce Jay Valkyrie's episode, and we currently have this out on our YouTube channel, so why don't we go ahead and play Jay's episode.
I would say my definition of a fangirl is someone who is just really excited about the fandoms that they really love, the different media that they consume, comic books, video games, anime, TV shows, books, the like. What being a fangirl means to me is just being really passionate about the things I love and also interacting with fellow people who are also really passionate about the things that they love and building those friendships and those connections. What fandoms am I particularly passionate about? I would say right now, it would be League of Legends is my new favorite video game. I also like Overwatch. Always been a huge fan of Percy Jackson, Avatar, Naruto, and My Hero Academia. I would say my first introduction into the fandom world was when I was watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I heard from a friend of a friend of a friend that there was a really popular website called Tumblr, and I tried to figure out how to use it and started scrolling through the Avatar tags and kind of interacting with other people online. Because of COVID-19, I have definitely interacted with fandoms a lot more, whether I like to or not. It's been kind of a good way of putting it is like, it's great, but at the same time, one popular TikTok that I love is just like, this is great, but like, go outside and touch some grass. It's kind of like it's great, but also kind of like, remember that fandom is not the entirety of life, but it's also been really rewarding. I've found myself streaming a lot more in terms of the new video games that I found during COVID, and interacting with fandoms that I haven't really interacted with before. So it's just finding myself reaching out to different audiences and trying to connect with things that didn't really feel truly a part of the fandom yet. The way that I see people express their fandoms that I really admire are the people who create visual art. I'm talking like fan art, or even not even necessarily visual art. I would say people who create literally anything. Besides cosplay, that's about as far as my visual creation goes, but the fanfic writers, the fan artists, the people who are making the merch that I love to wear in terms of like jewelry, knitting, things like that, those people are the real MVPs of fandom, and I'm really impressed by their work and the effort that they do for us, for fellow fans to consume, as well as for themselves to express their love. The internet and social media has affected my fandom experience, both in positive and negative ways. In a positive way, it's been easier to find my more niche fandoms and to find different sections of fandoms in terms of finding the intersection between people who like a certain thing, or also color, so for me, mostly Black fans, as well as women fans and queer fans. So finding that intersection of Black, female, queer fans of this one fandom is really, really fun, because then it turns into like this very specific experience that we both have that we can share. On the other end, there was so much more room for people to argue about, the typical fandom arguments or ship wars, things of that nature. So there's a lot more arguments happening on the internet because people hide behind their usernames, but also it's really easy to find specific identities within fandom. I have been a victim of gatekeeping pretty much since I could formulate words that I liked something. Apparently it's a novelty that a black woman could like comic books and video games for some reason. So that's always something that I have to deal with in terms of just be like, oh really? Oh, interesting. Who introduced you to that? Which at first, when I was younger, I felt like I had to prove myself. But at this point, I just don't really feel the need to. I don't know about my time. I think the moment where I started to realize that I didn't have to prove myself to people online was actually when I had a more prevalent image online with my cosplay and with my fandom stuff. The questions kept on coming. They never stopped. It would be about the things that I definitely did know what I was talking about, and they still would never stop. So once I realized that they would never be satisfied because they had a preconceived notion about who exactly was allowed to be a fan, but this time it was more so Marvel, and then that later shifted into video games. But once they had a preconceived notion, it was really hard to break them out of that. So instead of trying to work hard to prove myself worthy, I just started to focus on just everything else. It was a lot easier. I think that with the internet and the geekdom becoming more of like a popular thing, it's been a lot easier to explain my love for certain things and find people to interact with, as well as just become more normalized and honestly find more things to wear. It's more popular to like wear graphic t-shirts and things like that now. So it kind of just makes nerd life a lot easier. The way I express my fandom the most is through my cosplay and my kind of like geek fashion wear. Most of my closet is graphic t-shirts or kind of like fandom or subtle fandom merch. Sometimes I buy things from small fashion designers who are also about fandom, as well as I do have the shark tattoo. I think science counts as fandom, so I really like things that deal with sharks as well. But also cosplay. I cosplay a lot of the characters I love. I want to bring to life characters I want to be, the characters I want to feel like, things like that. I really like embodying the character. My cosplays come to life in a various forms for me. It depends on what the costume requires and what it brings. The majority of the time I do make my own costumes or modify them through previous clothing. I've also purchased cosplays online, commissioned people, as well as worked with some fashion designers in terms of making like a fashion cosplay almost. A cosplay that means a lot to me is my She-Hulk cosplay. That's because that's the cosplay that was my first attempt at cosplay. It did not go so well the first time, but since I love the character and she's been my favorite comic book character since I was a kid, I kept on working at it, kept on learning how to become green, how to not put that green onto furniture, and all kinds of sorts of things. So that several reiterations of She-Hulk that I've done cosplays are my favorite just because I've done her so much and I love every time I learn something new with it. What I love the most about She-Hulk is kind of her carefree attitude, her approach to being a Hulk. She kind of takes it a lot better than Bruce does in terms of, he's like, oh no, I'm the Hulk. But she was like, oh yeah, I'm the Hulk. So that was what really pulled me into it and kind of made me stay. Her being a woman and having a different job, her doing her job while she's still in Hulk form is really inspiring in terms of just the sheer breadth of what she can do. And then in the sensational She-Hulk comic book series, she's a fashion icon. She wears like, not just like that one get up that most superheroes have, she's like 10,000. So that is really what I like about her. There are other characters that mean a lot to me. I really love Isabella from Dragon Age 2. She's kind of like who I would like to be in the future. She's a very confident and outspoken person who does prioritize herself above others, which is, well, she grows from that, but she is not afraid to say what she wants, and she means it. And one of my favorite quotes, which I might get us to tattoo, we don't know, is, why should I care about what people think? They don't know me, I know me. And that's something that just resonated with me. And this was like, I played this game back in like 2011, and now here we are 10 years later, and I can still regurgitate that. I haven't played the game in like a while, but she's a character that I just wholeheartedly enjoy, and I cosplayed her a couple of times, and honestly, we're cosplaying her again just because she's a really important character to me. My family and friends are actually really supportive of my fandom and my fandom culture. I think that has partially to do with the fact that my dad is very into fandoms as well. He is still super into Marvel and video games as well. I'm kind of now his accomplice instead of the other way around. So I will give him my old games that I've been playing, or give him some fandom shirts or graphic t-shirts like for Father's Day, and kind of do that. So it's something that he's used to, and then as for my mom, she doesn't get the same expression, but she does get it since she was married to my dad, and then also she's just very supportive, and is really impressed by my cosplay work as well. So she was like, wow, how do you say that? And it's like, because I really, really like it. So I figure out a way. I think that the convention that is definitely the top in my heart has to be WonderCon. Just because it's also been a huge part of my cosplay journey. It was the first convention I went out to in Southern California, and it was my first big convention, being from Oklahoma City. So a big difference. And I've met so many amazing people and cosplay friends, and every year I get to present costumes that I worked really hard on, and seeing my growth as a cosplayer, as well as seeing friends that I love and announcements that I'm really excited for all in one convention. There was this one con experience that really stood out to me when I went to a convention in Texas. It was kind of a smaller convention. I cosplayed a character from Dragon Age, which was not a popular fandom at the time. So I didn't expect anyone to recognize me. And I found a fellow cosplayer from the same fandom, and we kind of just interacted in character for a little bit. And that was really, really entertaining. And that kind of turned into us just becoming friends. And now we still even message to this day. So just going out there, not really expecting to see people, and then connecting with that one person, it was really, really great experience. My advice for the upcoming generation of fangirls would be to definitely find your friends a lot earlier, but also remember that fandom can be a very big part of your life, but it's not the only thing in your life. And while it's so amazing and great, and so many great things can happen through fandom, it's important to remember that there are other things as well. And this way you can experience it for what it is, but not get so hurt when things don't go your way or people disagree with you. I hope in the future for the fangirl community that we can continue to grow in terms of being more seen and more normalized, and celebrate our differences in terms of backgrounds, in terms of just everything under the sun, under the umbrella of fangirl, as well as going to accept that not everyone can agree the same way in a more, civil manner. But we're on our way there.
That was so great. So at this time, we'd love to open it up to the audience if anybody has any questions. Oh, right there.
Wait, this one's more specifically, I guess, for Monica and Madison. On this journey of sharing the stories and passions of fangirls that you're featuring, is there anything that you've learned about yourselves on the road of sharing their story?
So things that we've learned about ourselves on this road, I think more than anything, it's been like what I didn't set out to do any of this. I didn't set out to be like, I started doing cosplay photography, and then all of a sudden I own a website, and all of a sudden I'm creating web series, and we're here at Los Angeles Comic Con in the theater. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much. And we're here, like, you know, we've built a community online. Like, these things are not things that I set out to do. They're not things that I was like, when I grow up, I'm gonna do this. Like, you know what I mean? I was a stay-at-home mom who started taking photos on my cell phone of cosplayers that that I really enjoyed, and then all of a sudden somebody's like, hey, can you put those photos on my website? And like it grew from like Instagram to working for, shout out to that hashtag show, thank you so much for all your support, who were like publishing my articles and things like that. And then I started, you know, with Temple of Geek. And so I think that I didn't realize what I could do. I didn't realize that I wanted to do any of this. And I think that fandom taught me that there's like no limit to what you can do with just loving something and just being excited about things. And I think that I found that I'm really enthusiastic about other people's stories. I'm so constantly inspired by people in our community. I'm so constantly inspired by like fandoms and fans in general, but more so how unapologetic women are about sharing their passion and their love, and that is so inspiring. And I didn't know that I had it in me to tell like their stories and to like hype them up, and I just want to put them all on a pedestal and be like, look at these amazing people, right? So I think that that's what I learned about myself, is that I didn't know that I could do a lot like this, you know?
Yeah, I don't really have anything else to add to that. I think, you know, I realized that, like Monica said, I could do more than I thought I could. Like, starting out, I had no idea how to edit videos, and now, like, I'm partially helping, like, create these videos to put out to tell these women's stories. And it is really cool to see other women getting really excited about things, because again, if you know me in person, you know how hyper and excited I get about something. And so when I get to share someone else's story where they're getting super excited and they can sit here and talk for 20, 30, 40 minutes about one thing, I'm like, oh, it's not just me. It's not just me. And there's so many other people who can, you know, get excited about the things that they love. And so it makes me happy and excited to lift them up, like Monica said.
Tiffany, Alice, anything to add?
Anyone else?
Well, okay. Well, just to add to that was that, like, I think there's like a kind of, I mean, we say that one of the best things about fandom is the community, and I think I think there is this type of synergy that's there because you're engaging in something really positive, right? Like you said, like it's never really like for me, and I think for you guys, what you just said is that like it's not really about like, oh my God, look at me, look at all the great things I'm doing, but like I love hyping up other people because I like seeing what other people are doing. Like I get excited that they're, you know, sharing their art or exploring a new fandom or doing things they never thought they would do, and like, I don't know, I think there's like a really infectious energy there when it's like you're excited about something, but someone else is also excited about something.
Yes.
And that's like in every fandom I've gotten, like the Star Wars thing, and then like going into my newer fandom with BTS, it's like I'm going into there, I'm constantly inspired by like the amount of art the fandom puts out, the amount of like analysis and like just uplifting each other and like hyping each other up. It's really great, you know? Yeah.
One thing that Jade said as well that kind of goes off of what you were saying about gatekeeping and how a lot of fandoms have been gatekeeping women for a very long time. And what I think was great about this project and Temple of Geek and kind of all of what we've been doing is that we're making our own space. We're making our own welcoming place where it's like, oh no, you can sit with us. So that's something that I've noticed just from this project as well. Do we have any more questions? Oh, great, in the back.
What is each of your favorite part of being a fangirl? Like community, cosplay, convention?
Definitely the cosplay community. It's a lot of fun finding someone like at a con or you know, something who loves like a niche fandom. So like for example, the character that I'm cosplaying today, the fandom is pretty small. And so one of my favorite things about fangirling through this fandom is it's like, oh, there's 2 other people. I'm gonna run right over to those 2 people in this group of 100 because you and I like the same show a lot, you know? And so like having that community, even when it's really small, is really special.
I think for me, like, I was really lucky growing up that, like, I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, and we were lucky to have, like, maybe one, like, geeky, you know, culture thing like that. Property, one franchise, one movie came out a decade if we were lucky. And I think that growing up, I was never bullied or, like, made ashamed of my fandoms, but people just kind of were like, oh, it's that quirky thing you're into, or you were like that. They tolerated me, but nobody really understood me, right? Like, nobody really got it. They were like, oh, it's that cute thing you're into. Oh, yeah. But when I started coming to conventions and when I started, like, meeting other fans, is when I finally felt seen and, like, encouraged, and I felt at home. So I think that my favorite thing is coming to these conventions, meeting people, meeting the community, and feeling seen. Like, you know, like Maddie said, you see somebody, you like the same thing, and it's like the first time where you don't have to explain yourself to, like, why, what is that? What's Doctor Who? What's this thing, you know? It's like they get it. Everybody here gets it, you know, and you're seen for who you are, and you don't have to apologize for who you are. And I think that's my favorite thing about geek culture, fan culture, and convention life.
I have to agree with both the girls. I love the community. I, like Monica, didn't have a lot of people to talk to growing up, and so the fandom part of me kind of just got pushed to the back and stuff because it was the weird, quirky thing. Oh, okay, but no one wanted to talk about it. But then, as going to my first convention, which was San Diego Comic-Con in 2015, and was homeless for the night, like with a bunch of other people trying to get into Hall H to see Peter Capaldi and Jenna Coleman. And I met the lady right behind me, didn't know me from anybody, but she's like, hey, share my mat, like, let's talk about Doctor Who. And I still chat with her. Like, she introduced me she was the one who told me about Gallifrey 1, which is one of my favorite conventions, Doctor Who convention. And yeah, like, it was just being able to talk with somebody and have a lengthy conversation and not have to worry about, hey, is that weird part of me showing? Like, you could talk about it. So.
Same. It's definitely the community. Similar things. I think it's just like that sort of thing is really crazy, like how fast you can connect with people just because you love something, like the same thing. I always think it's so funny because a more recent one for me is last year when BTS was here doing their concerts. My sister, who is not super, like, she's always like, I'm not here to make friends. Like, she's kind of like, she's not mean, she's just like not super social. But she was out there trying to trade photo cards at the concert. And like, she literally made friends with this one other girl who was trying to get the same photo card of the member they like, because they stood out there for hours trying to get do this one trade. And that girl's from Singapore, you know, and they still talk, like, they're friends now because of this kind of insane shared experience they have. But I, like, love that aspect of fandom. Like, you don't really get that, I mean, just like in your daily life necessarily, you know?
Actually, I'm really excited to announce that we will be expanding our community because we are starting a Portrait of a Fangirl podcast. We mostly feature women that are from Southern California because due to the fact that budgets and travel and everything, it kind of prevented us from being able to meet fangirls in other parts of the world. But in 2023, we're going to have our new podcast version of Portrait of a Fangirl, which is kind of a companion project to the web series. It'll allow us to introduce audiences to fangirls from all over the world and not just local. The podcast will be hosted by Jenna Wren. Jenna is a Temple of Geek entertainment correspondent from New York, but she'll be hosting podcast episodes virtually as well as during her trips to different conventions around the country. So that's pretty exciting. To kind of wrap things up, you can find Portrait of a Fangirl episodes on templeofgeek.com and on Temple of Geek YouTube, as well as we have our own YouTube channel as well for Portrait of a Fangirl, right?
It's on the Temple of Geek.
It's on Temple of Geek on the YouTube channel, and all the episodes are posted. We have 7 episodes out right now. You can also join our community on Instagram and Facebook by following Portrait of a Fangirl. And do you guys want to follow up and give your usernames on Instagram or any other things you'd like to mention before we go? What's your Instagram?
Our handles.
My Instagram handle is a kangaroo, but the kangaroo is spelled with a U at the end. So find me there.
I'm under Adventures of a Geeky Baker.
And then you can find me as This Dorky Nerd across all social media platforms and on as Temple of Geek as well on all social media platforms.
You can find my personal accounts on TikTok and Instagram, Maddie_Hoovian, or on Twitter, Mad_Hoovian, and then I help run the Temple of Geek cosplay accounts on Instagram.
And I am Christina is Crafty, and we just want to thank all of you guys for coming. This has been so fun for us, so hope you guys have a great rest of your con.
Yes, thank you.